I don't know. We're here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Fun Show. Seems to us that we've been gone for quite a while, but here we are, we're back. And we're not only back, we're back in our original studio. It's very nice to be home. The studio has been refreshed, modernized, upgraded, and here we are. And they've even improved the sound system as we have brought in Lester Lannon to sit behind me.
Lester Lannon, huh?
You're looking good, Lester.
Thanks, Uncle.
Lester tonight is being played by Mike Sallin. This is the November 2nd edition of the Fun Show at Big TV.
Big TV.
Mike Sallin is in fact sitting behind the minor keyboard. I'm Arch O'Reilly, and sitting between us, once again, the light of our show, Kira Minor.
Aw,
And don't forget the Kira.
I already did.
He called it the minor keyboard.
I know.
I kind of like that. I'm a little more comfortable with that
A little more comfortable.
than the Kira keyboard.
Well, what you didn't like was the Kira Memorial
Yes.
Keyboard. That made you a little
Yes,
nervous.
well, exactly. I'm like, I'm not dead yet, and I don't think you
So
should have a
you have been,
memorial unless you're close to
You've
being
been
dead.
touring Southern Europe,
Yes.
Eastern Europe
Yes.
lately, which is
Good
we're
adventure.
sort of envious. We missed you a lot.
You got a foreign look to you.
Yeah, I'm looking good, and I brought back some European with me, did I?
You did rub it off on
Excellent. Who knew?
You look very...
Ah.
Okay, is it the pasta or the Wiener Schnitzel?
Probably the pasta. I don't touch the Wiener Schnitzel. But I definitely forgot how much German I knew until I actually...
Haben Sie ein Zigarette?
Ein bit.
I'm bitter. I'm bitter.
Ein bit. Well, believe it or not, some of them say, it's like, you just lop it off at the
ein
end.
bit.
It's like versus danke, dankeschön.
Yeah.
It's just... So a lot of people drop it off. Anyway, I was just really
Okay.
excited that I knew as much as I did.
Yeah, it's always easier to understand a language than it is to sort things out to be able to speak a language.
Correct.
But I don't know if Austria's like Germany, but Germany these days, once they hear your accent, you can't get them to speak German.
No.
They just speak English
Which is why I didn't try.
automatically.
Nope.
Everywhere. The only place I found in Berlin that they didn't speak English that sounded like Cincinnati, Ohio, was at the TV Tower in East Berlin.
Oh.
This big rotating restaurant on a spire is sort of like the Space Needle, not as big as the Space Needle, but it was the pride and joy and symbol of East Germany in the day.
How did we get to Germany? Oh, you were there. Okay.
Yeah.
No, she was in Austria.
In Austria.
Right, but she was
Exactly.
talking about speaking Deutsch.
Yeah. So they didn't speak any English in the tower.
No, they were rather sort of adamant about it. I couldn't find anybody to speak English.
But
They must have intentionally not. There's no way. There's no way that many people didn't know some
No,
English.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I think they
Oh, you were being hazed.
I think they were.
You were hazed.
No, I think they were holding out because it was the symbol of East Germany, so they were doing things. We will note in
we boring
passing the passing of Senator Fred Thompson, man with an interesting career. Started out as an actor, clearly picked up a law degree somewhere because he was an assistant counsel in the Watergate Committee. Had a long career on Law and Order as a TV prosecutor.
Okay.
He knows a lot about a reverse mortgage, too.
Ran for Senate and seems to have made his entire retirement account on selling reverse mortgages.
All right then.
Told us a lot about
hours
that.
of TV,
So he didn't like law, evidently, and he didn't like what
He
else?
took what was available.
He didn't
But
like
the United
anything.
States Senate, he did resign from the United States
Yeah,
Senate.
I was
yes.
surprised that he didn't open a funeral home. That would have been
A funeral home?
Yeah, that would have
Is that
seemed.
one of your secret wishes over the years?
Well, there's something charming about it,
I can honestly say,
I don't know.
in my entire life, I have never given any serious thought to opening a funeral home.
No,
well,
me either.
Okay.
I definitely toyed with, could I do it? Like, could I actually
Look at
be
the
part
nice
of that
people. You meet a lot of
Maybe.
people, and you try to make them a little happier. Seems like a nice thing.
And your primary customers rarely complain.
Now you're talking. Okay.
Yeah, people are usually too distraught
As
to
my father
give you as
said
much
about
trouble.
living next to a cemetery, the neighbors are quiet.
There was an article in the Globe.
Yes.
The column was written by a guy named Don O'Coin.
Okay.
Or O'Quan. I don't know if it's
I
French.
think it's O'Coin.
O'Coin is all right. Okay. And he was telling us there are many reasons that an audience member at a play might laugh at the wrong time. And he didn't seem to like that, people that laugh at the wrong time. And
Maybe only he thinks it's the wrong time.
And is he really disturbed by this? He's like, this is a whole column about this, huh?
well, and then they
It's a
had all
short
these
column.
people who
Very
wrote,
short. Let's
people
hope.
who wrote letters.
In response to
Yeah, they didn't think
saying,
that.
I bought a ticket, I'll laugh when I want.
Yeah.
He
So was
thought-
that the
he
kind of
thought- he
response?
didn't like. He said actors didn't like it. It was rude. If you're in a certain part of the action or whatever, the plot line, and then you're emoting in a very serious fashion, and all of a sudden a funny cackle comes from the audience.
Well, it is disturbing, but
You're supposed to be a professional. You
Only
should
if
not.
it appears to be because they're telling each other jokes in the third row, or they're laughing about the toilet paper on the extra who just entered stage right's shoe or something.
That's true. Yeah.
I
I mean, there
remember.
could be something more.
I remember back in the days when cell phones or portable phones were relatively new. We didn't yet learn the routine of saying, please switch them off. And I was doing a play one time, and this woman's cell phone rang, and she answered it
Oh, dear God.
in like the third row. And she's sitting there and she's going, no, I'm at the theater. No, I'm watching so-and-so. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. And she starts to give a review of the show from the third row.
Did you stop and say something?
I walked over to the edge of the stage. I
yeah,
stood
you
there and looked down at her. And when she looked up at me, I said, if it's for me, tell them I'm busy.
Nice.
Did that
Bravo. Did that.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Now,
That was a great way to do it. Did the audience laugh?
Professionally, I probably should have just kept going on, but
You know what?
but from the
Life's too
stage, I could
short.
see that a third of the crowd was looking around at
Yeah.
her. Crazy.
So they call this in the article rogue laughter.
Rogue laughter.
Okay, I have to admit, I go to see a play or a show, and sometimes I hear something, a piece of dialogue.
It strikes you funny.
Yeah, and I let out a bellow laugh, and I get a kick from my wife, Rainey, because nobody else laughed at the theater except me.
Nobody got the joke.
But I looked at the actors, and they were smiling because it was supposed to be a funny part.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And of course, this is called the fun
You're
show.
smarter than everybody in the audience.
You're the
That's
only
why.
one who was right.
Yep, you were the smartest one there.
Well, I tried to tell her that, and she wasn't buying into that. No. Anyways, I write these things from time to time, and I know you'll hear one tonight. And what's sad is, sometimes I think they're very funny, some lines, like tonight isn't so funny. But sometimes strikes me, I let out make noises up when I'm doing this. I used to type more, but the arthritis and stuff. Anyways, she will say to me, what was so funny? I heard you up
And
to
so
the
you'll read her the line and she'll go, huh?
That's funny? That caused you? Yeah, okay. Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Your wife keeps you humble.
Yes, and a lot of things that I think are very funny, she doesn't, that's all. And you too, sometimes you like a line, you might have a line that's funny. Yeah. But it's
You're a funny guy.
Well, it's our job to make them funny.
Well, seriously, yeah.
That's what you try to do.
And that's a tough one. In the old days, when I say the old days, going from about
old days?
1958 or earlier, a little earlier, the 1950s.
They made a great Chevy that year.
They had the little box. You know, where you press the button and laughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter what. Yeah. No matter what. Yeah, that's the
Well done.
No matter how. No matter how sad the line was, or it wasn't even funny, you heard this great piece of. Now that's pretty much gone. Live audiences get a shot at this stuff.
Right. All those TV shows had laugh tracks.
Yeah, they all
recorded laughter.
Yeah, and I thought that was.
Person in the sound booth.
I tried to buy one of those things years ago for this show, figuring
That would be great.
one you could. But I wanted you to hit the laugh button.
When you thought it was funny?
No, when it was serious.
When it wasn't funny.
Oh, when you tell something, yeah.
But sometimes it was funny when they had the sound man doing the laughter, because sometimes they'd put in laugh tracks
Yes.
where there was nothing. I mean, they'd say the most fall flat on its face joke, and they could hit a laugh track.
Yeah.
And a laugh track only made a bad joke worse.
That's right.
Never
Fair
rescued one in the history of time.
That's funny.
Violence may elicit laughter, nervous or otherwise, from a person who has grown up with abuse and violence. We get a psychologist writing a letter about why things can be funny, or why this person
They're
that's
she's defending.
laughing nervously.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay, the thing's supposed to be sad or appalling, and they
Makes you
laugh.
uncomfortable.
Okay,
It's
we
more of
get
an
upset.
uncomfortable feeling.
Well, anyways,
Talking about tragedy, which is only not as big a gap from violence and stuff, is a Russian plane crash.
Yeah.
In the Sinai Desert. Who knew that there was a Russian flight pattern from Sharm el Sheikh to St. Petersburg?
ISIS knew, and Al Qaeda knew.
Oh, those claims are totally ridiculous.
All right, okay.
They're totally ridiculous.
All right, okay.
But what's also as ridiculous is the Russian officials who haven't yet even collected the pieces from the plane, announcing definitively that there was no crew error and there was no maintenance problem, that it was an outside event that brought down their plane. This is the greatest example of covering your tuchus I've ever seen. How do they expect anybody to believe this stuff?
And
I don't think they care.
On a more fun note, last Friday night,
yeah.
I went over to Harvard Stadium and I watched the Harvards play the Dartmouths. And it was on one hand, a fascinating game, on the other hand, a terrible game.
Yeah, I thought
They
it was.
played very, 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 very
It was kind
poorly.
of sad. Yeah. Okay.
Harvard finally trailed the game for like 55 minutes. They finally go ahead with 38 seconds left in the game, and still on the last play of the game, they have to block a makeable field goal to win 14-13.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
you got to understand, this was two undefeated teams trying to settle things.
Wow.
What did you think about Owen Labrie? Or is it Labrie? The kid from St. Paul's up there in New Hampshire. I
think he probably got approximately what he deserved.
I'm not following.
This is the kid who was convicted of.
You were away when it happened.
I'm not sure exactly what the charge he was eventually convicted of.
Well, a sexual assault.
Enticing a young
15-year-old girl
over the internet for sexual content. First of all, it struck me as strange the court did not convict him of rape.
No.
Given the fact that the girl was 15 years old, I thought that was rather automatic. Here's one of the more disturbing, slightly off-center, disturbing things about it. The young man was theoretically on his way to Harvard.
Divinity School.
That's the point. Divinity School.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, Harvard just...
A little hypocrisy here.
Harvard just took part in a study on sexual assault on campus that 37 or 50 different universities took part
No
in.
consensual.
Non-consensual sexual
Non-consensual,
contact or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, the interesting thing was, to me, was it was not only the college, but it was all the graduate schools as well.
Yeah.
The highest incidence, any incidence is disturbing, but frankly, the incidents weren't appallingly high, at least at Harvard, according to the report. But the highest incident in the whole university, next to the undergraduates, was the divinity school.
Well, he's going.
And then on top of
was
that,
going to
this
the-
kid, this systematic rapist from this school, where was he going? Where had he been accepted? The divinity school.
At Harvard.
So it's not just the Republican Christian conservatives who are world-class hypocrites. It apparently includes people going to divinity school who are world-class
We
hypocrites.
already knew this, though. This is not
He
actually
he was a senior. She was a freshman.
Right.
And he was finishing up the graduating. Anyways, we gotta get on with this, and we'll come back to this.
All right,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, it is
Think
now
about it.
time.
All right, we'll pause on that.
It
Okay.
is now time for the Big TV Unrehearsed Thespian Society's presentation.
And it might be
for this
funny,
evening.
and it might not be.
I think
But
it's
the one thing
hysterical.
it is not from the vault.
It is not from the vault.
It has not been it has not been hauled out and dusted off
No.
from the vault. It is flowed off the pen of Michael Sally.
Yeah, but
Fresh and new.
some funny stuff has a beard that could be pretty good, you know. All right.
And has
Really?
run through the fingers
Shakespeare.
of Ms. Minor.
Okay.
Yes, I do my part.
Who has put it down on paper,
She typed it up.
and we will try it. It was originally entitled Wellington Schwartz.
But we gave that up.
Wasn't that a V? Wellington Schwartz.
Wellington
Wellington.
Yeah,
Wellington Schwartz.
It was named Wellington
I think
Schwartz.
it was Wellington
Okay.
Schwartz.
But actually,
It is now entitled Unsustainable.
unsustainable, okay?
All right.
Action.
Well, partner, it's my last day on the job.
So you're retiring, Marshall, is that it?
Yep. I'm heading south on the next stage.
And you're making a new start? What about California, the old gold strike up there?
Too risky.
Well, no, I bought me a small spread on the Snake River.
Ah, gonna be a whole different life for you.
Well, you've had some exciting times, Wellington.
That's true, but I'm looking forward to punching me some cattle.
Bet you have a favorite story.
That's that one about that woman gambler.
Yeah, that sounds kind of mysterious.
She was a whole new face in town. Her name was Lucy B.
You've seen all kinds.
No, she was special.
Yes, I was and still am.
Say, where are you from, ma'am?
Been all over.
I never seen you in Leadville or the Negev.
I'd stay a while and then move on.
Say, do you play poker?
That's my game, mister.
Might sit in for a few hands myself.
It's a free country.
Ever thought of the Yukon?
No. I begin to think I'll join you all.
No checks, we bet cash.
Marshals are leaving, huh?
Sure, but welcome.
You sure we haven't met before, Miss Lucy?
Don't believe so.
You always been a gambler?
Yeah, well, she's just starting here.
Oh, my husband and I ran a little store.
But he's gone, right?
Died suddenly. Heart.
Too bad, too bad.
So that's when you took up dealing.
I was always good with the cards.
But this is real money, honey.
That's a tough business for a woman.
I can handle myself.
Could have opened an eating place if you'd like.
Dirty work.
Well, it ain't easy.
Greasy. Guess stealing is cleaner.
Has its ups and downs.
Well, you gotta meet some rough people.
And seeing a nice-looking gal,
Probably why I keep moving.
And times are changing.
Miners lose jobs.
It can get downright dangerous.
I can handle things.
you were drawing troublemakers, you know that?
Goes with the territory, mister.
Yeah, but I bet the lawmen didn't like it.
Well, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, I can just wish you luck, Miss Lucy.
Not interested in the gold fields of California?
Well, maybe a barber shop. Miners need haircuts.
No, my little ranch will do me just fine.
How about homesteading, partner?
Surviving a stampede for 100 acres? No, thank you.
I like to choose where I want to live.
Kansas, Missouri.
Okay, if you don't have a drought.
Ever hear of the Dust Bowl?
That's 40 or 50 years from now.
What, are both of you fortune tellers?
Yep, and farmers will lose everything.
People will head west.
They must be pretty poor.
President Hoover predicted better times.
Like Hooverville's in California.
Sounds like everybody was out of work.
Not if you're rich.
Or an Oklahoma bank robber.
Then Prohibition ended.
And so did bootlegging.
Well, there's sure a lot of history in them there crystal balls.
Or tarot cards.
Now, what's this prohibition?
That's bootlegging, bathtub gin.
Government shut down distilleries.
Oh,
And closed the liquor stores.
well, that must have kept the local lawman busy.
Well, we don't worry about none of that now.
And we got plenty of gambling halls.
You're still with casinos around here, though. And you're still heading for that little ranch?
I'm beginning to change my mind, folks.
You staying?
No, I might try selling insurance.
But we don't have any cars yet.
Oh, you mean them horseless carriages? Good Godfrey.
Betting on the future.
And then there's handicapping.
A little action for the bookmaking.
People do like to wager.
Sounds easier than punching cattle, partner.
And Don Roundups.
Yep, could be very interesting.
I'd like to take a part of that action.
You'd settle down for an office job?
With the right man.
Well, you're sure a lot of woman, Lucy B.
And I can cook, too.
That's a different retirement, huh?
That's my life.
We could be partners.
I'm partial to that notion, Lucy B.
You could still be a private eye, too.
Makes sense.
Well, I could use all that experience.
We could be busy.
So when's the wedding?
After the wedding trip?
About who's minding the store.
Well, you'll have to ask Boss Trump.
Only the shadow knows.
Blackout!
All right. Unsustainable.
Unsustainable. I don't know that was sustainable.
I don't know either. Okay, now the business down there, the Connecticut tribe wants to open a casino up near Springfield. Well, naturally not in our state, but they're thinking about it. I know it sounds.
If it's near Springfield, how is it not in our state?
Well, it's all across the border.
Oh, in the Connecticut border, just on the Massachusetts border?
Right.
Okay.
And then, of course, it was a piece in the paper about this gambling casino up in Bangor, Maine. Where they just asked the town.
Slot parlor.
All right, okay.
Okay.
But they asked the town for 40% tax reduction. Cut.
Right, because they're not making enough money.
That's right.
That's it right there.
Okay, now you got it.
And Mr. Wynn, in the midst of being driven to distraction by the mayor of Boston, wants to reduce the amount of parking he has in his as yet not begun Everett Casino.
Why?
And his excuse is, well, we're going to bring our people in by water taxis and public transportation. Why? Less money. Promise anything to get the thing and then start to weasel out of it right away. Speaking of which, since they're being controlled by the great Massachusetts Gaming Commission under Mr. Crosby, there's a great deal of talk now about this DraftKings and the other fantasy betting operations
Well, I think we're reaching.
We have 5 minutes.
And the secretary, the attorney general's looking into it, and other people are looking into it.
Yeah.
And there's now a suggestion that perhaps it should be regulated by the Gaming Commission.
Yeah.
This puts me in a real catch-22 because I think they should be regulated because obviously they're a very dicey online gaming operation. But the last people on earth I would trust to regulate anything is the Massachusetts Gaming Commission.
Well, speaking of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, were you aware that the Big Dig is leaking?
Hasn't it been leaking for
Wait a second. That segue just ran right over my
That's right. And not only is it leaking, but all the nuts and bolts and
corroding, yes.
corroding, rusting out.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's going to cost us a bundle of money. And the man who did the financing for the Big Dig, his name was Baker. He figured out how to finance this thing.
Charles Baker.
Charles Baker, otherwise known as our governor.
Oh.
Maybe he can figure out about the Big Dig's leaks and
They're going to make him
corrosion.
be responsible for all that.
You don't
want to blame it
now,
all
the fact
on
of the
him.
matter
They're
is
gonna
the
try to-
elevated always had problems with bolts, but they were underneath instead of on top.
Speaking of bolts,
and obviously they didn't leak much because it was 40 feet off the
The
ground.
MBTA is said to be preparing for a tough winter. Really?
Well, let's see them
Do they
actually
know
be
what a
prepared
tough
for a
winter is
change.
at the MBTA?
Well, let's hope they are.
They need to make up for last year's.
You think why? Do you think they did
Well, just all the,
a bad job?
yeah, last year's drama. Wasn't there
Did
just
you
all that
notice
drama?
last year's director who was appointed to some board down in Washington?
Yeah.
Eventually,
the
a
woman.
couple of weeks ago, they quietly withdrew her nomination down.
Really?
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that things go better for the poor riders. That's all I'm saying. And Boehner left office, and then we got a new
That was
speaker.
special.
You know,
No, I didn't pay any attention.
well, it's Paul Ryan.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I remember hearing something about him.
He's a fiscal expert also about
Fiscal
budgets
expert,
and
huh?
everything.
Well, where do you go to school?
And the very first thing he promised is, no, I promise you there will be no action on immigration reform. We don't trust this president, and we refuse to work with him. So right from the very get-go, he said, nothing will improve. And so
That's too bad.
they stood on their heads and whistled Dixie to find somebody to put in as Speaker of the House, and the net result is absolutely no improvement.
No improvement.
The Republican Party stands for do nothing, screw the country, forget everything. What, you think it's time?
Well, it's close.
No, but it's not quite.
Not quite.
Almost
No,
close.
see.
Okay, well, I was going to...
You got at least one
Yeah, I was going to talk about Benghazi, but everything has been talked about when it comes to Benghazi.
Yes, the best line
Yeah.
was Bernie Sanders.
What did he say?
Well, he wasn't on Benghazi. He was on the stupid emails. He said,
Yeah.
everybody's sick and tired of hearing about your emails.
Well, they brought up emails on that too, besides the Benghazi.
Now
It's
you're-
just
now
more
you're allowed
popular
to
than
talk.
ever.
It's so obvious that they spent hundreds
Of millions.
not hundreds, but they spent millions and millions of dollars in a pure political opposition research effort, and they ended up looking like idiots.
As usual.
Well,
Next.
because they are.
How are we?
Let's go. We got to do this thing. We're going to run out of time.
Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. We'll see you in our dreams. Good night, Irene. Good night, everybody, from the Fun Show here at Big TV. Now on November 7th,
It's so silly.
the Rotary's Dancing with the Brookline All-Stars will take place on November 7th from 6:30 to 10:30 at the Our Lady of the Annunciation Church in West Roxbury. And John,
Are you going? I might go.
John Dempsey will be dancing for Brookline Kazelwake.
Ah, okay.
Right.
So
That sounds good to me.
we'll see you next.